Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 104 of Build Your Stash and Craft. We've made it 2 years. So today what we are going to do is we are going to make an art scroll, like an art journal, but it's going to be a scroll and it's going to look something like this. Now this one is a little bit larger than what we're going to make, and also this one is made with a wallpaper border roll of paper. And this I made quite some time ago, and so this is where my idea came from. But you're just going to be able to unroll it and do your art in there, and then roll it back up. It looks really cute sitting on your desk, and I just like it, so I thought that you may like to make one too. So what we're going to do is we are going to start out with our 2 little rolls that we had from our Deco Mesh last week. And we're going to start out by cutting 20 2x2 squares, and then using some sandpaper to sand off the shiny part of your box. So, and these are going to be chipboard, and we'll need 5 for each end of our scroll, because that will give us a nice thickness, because these are going to stand up and you want them to be nice and sturdy. So the first thing that we'll do is we will take 4 of these squares and glue them together. We need 5 for each end, but 1 will attach to the scroll right away. The other 4, we're going to get them together and put them in a book and let them dry. The one thing that whenever you're doing construction is you always want to make sure that you let things dry, that the glue is good and solid before you move on, because that will make your construction last so much longer. So we will put 4 together, and we will do that for all 4 ends. We're going to have 4 ends, 2 for each of the tubes. So you're just going to glue them together like that. I like to try and put it, cardboard side to cardboard side. It doesn't matter because you're going to paint it. And then just give it a really good squish. Let that glue squish out the sides, and then get it straightened up really nice and well. And when this is perfectly dry, we'll sand the edges to make them nice and even. But make sure that you push Pee-wee, leave the cat alone. Sorry, the cat is teasing Papa's dog. Squish these edges together really, really well, because you don't want those separating. And then just kind of smooth the glue out that comes out the edges. Make sure that you're even. That'll save you less sanding when you have to sand the edges later. And then put all 4 of them. This is 4 pieces together. This is one end, and put all 4 ends in a nice heavy book. Then what we're going to do with the 4 that are left, because we have 20, we are going to attach them to the end of our scroll. And the way that you're going to do that is you are going to take one of your squares and put a mark on it corner to corner, and take your time to do this so that you're really close to center, corner to corner and corner to corner, to get your exact center. Okay. And then you're going to use your compass to draw a circle on there, and to figure out how big you need your circle to be, just take your compass and hold it on both edges of your circle. And then look at how large it says that is. It says that it is 1 inch. So then you're going to make your compass go down to 1/2 of an inch so that you can draw your circle. Put your point right in the center of your little square and draw a circle around that. Okay, once you get your circle drawn, I'm going to darken this up just a little bit. It's kind of hard to see. There we go. Okay, so now you've got your circle drawn, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut from the edge of the circle to the center on all 4 of these lines with our X-Acto knife. Be very careful. And you're going to want to go all the way through the cardboard. So make 3 or 4 passes. There we go. Now that's all the way through, and then we're going to do it here. Okay, and now we're going to just go between the 2 lines to turn it into a pie. And that will give us 8 little pieces of pie. We'll do this one over here also. Now these don't have to be measured or exact. We are doing this so that we can put this down inside of our tube and glue it to our tube to hold it on. There we go. And we've got those all cut. Now you can just glue it on like this. And you know, the thing is that that's not going to be super sturdy. So we've done this so that we can go ahead and press those. And I'm going to press them towards this side. Just kind of press them through, holding your cardboard to keep it, you know, nice and sturdy. And just kind of press them down. And then go on this side and find your circle. And pull that right up to the circle, all the way around. And then we'll be able to take all of these little tabs and glue them inside of our tube, and that will hold it really nice and sturdy. There we go, just so it looks like that. And then we're going to take this and put it inside of our tube. So I'm going to pull these back a little bit better because I don't want them like pulling against the glue. So I'm going to really fold them really hard towards the outside so they won't pull away from the tube as easily. Now this is thick, you know, chipboard, so it's still going to want to pull away. And what you're going to have to do is just make sure that you keep pressing it really good in there. And then so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on each one of these little tabs. Now these little tabs might split. They might split into kind of 2 pieces, and if they do, we'll just go back in and glue those 2 pieces together after we get it in. I'm also going to take some glue and put it around the end of our tube just to make it doubly sturdy. We're just going to put our tube over top of all those little tabs. Make sure that it looks like we're kind of in the middle. And then go in and push all of those down. Just like that. Now you're going to just keep pressing and holding until that glue grabs really well. I'm speaking very well today. Let's set that down. Just press them in and hold them. And this is a very wet glue, so it takes a while for it to kind of start to dry and grab. If you have a glue that grabs faster, it will be a little faster, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. Just try not to bend this too much, because that's going to be your base, along with the other 4 that we glued together. I'm just going to keep pressing along and pressing along until it actually stays glued up against the inside of the tube. And it just takes a little while. You're going to go around and go, oh, I just pressed that one down and now it popped back up. That's okay. It will eventually hold. And what you can do to hold it tighter even is take a piece of parchment and set it over the top of this and like stuff a paper towel or a napkin or something in there. But make sure you put your parchment on there. But that will hold those up against the wall for you. So you could do that. I don't have any parchment here with me. So I'm just going to have to keep pressing because I want to make sure that they glue to the sides. And there we go, just like that. Now we're going to do the next end just exactly the same way. And the only thing is when you do the second end, the first end is easy, you put it wherever. But when you do the second end, you want to lay your tube flat and then put the second end on this way, because you want to make sure that both of them are facing, that they're flat here and down here and here and here. You don't want them to be off like this, because if they are, when you go to lay them down to use them, one will be flat on the bottom, the other one will be standing on its point. So you want, when you lay it down to use it, you want to make sure that the flat sides are both like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of these with the circle, and I'm going to put these underneath in my book. Now this is 4 pieces of chipboard, and this is our 5th. That's why we needed 5 for each end, 1 like this and 4 glued together. And then we'll take this one and we will glue it on here like this after it is dry, and then we will sand our edges. So I'm going to make the other ends, and I am going to come back and I'm going to show you how I put the second end on. So I will do that and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back and I have one finished, and I'm going to show you the last one. I did go ahead and take my advice and put some parchment in there, and then stuffed a half a paper towel in there. And then what you're going to want to do is trim it back. Trim back that parchment so that it's not in your way, so that you can check and make sure that your squares are in the same way. So you don't want it sticking over the edge at all. Okay, so in order to do this one, I'm going to set that down because it's not going to stand up because of the parchment and paper towel. But we're going to do it the same way as the other one. And then put some along the edge here. And then I'm going to put this on, looking and kind of lining it up with the bottom down here. And then I'm going to set it flat on my, this is a nice flat surface, and make sure that that is actually, that they're both flat on the table, so that one's not like this to where that one's flat, this one's sitting on its point. And when you go to do your artwork in it, and even if that was just off, you know, like half or whatever, you just want them to be nice and flat. So go ahead and make sure you take the time to do that. The very first time that I made one of these, I didn't do that, and it drove me so crazy, you know, when I was trying to use it, that I wound up having to pull one end off, which was not an easy feat because I did have it glued really well. Now that came off, and I'm just putting it back on and pushing on it because I'm kind of waiting for my glue to dry a little bit, or, you know, to get tacky, I guess I should say. And so I'm going to just keep pushing this on. Okay, now I'll put it down, and it's not straight, so I'm going to make it straight. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to try and not move it this time. And it's easier too if you push on the outside with one hand and then push on the inside. I always just push on the inside, and I'm really not, I don't have anything super solid to push against. So this makes it better to make sure you push on both sides. And then we're going to put it down, and we're going to straighten it back out. And now I am going to, because that glue is nice and tacky, I'm going to take a piece of parchment and just wad up a piece of paper towel and just stuff it in there. There we go. That feels pretty tight. And then I'm going to get this excess parchment off so that I can level it all off. Making sure that it's not sticking out anywhere because that will affect how it's sitting. And then, before I do that, I'm going to take a paper towel and run around where we had put the glue in it squished out. I just kind of want to, I don't want a big bead squished out there because you'll see that a little bit. Your paper doesn't go up quite that high. And we're going to paint it so we don't have to get rid of all of it. We just don't want a big bump. Unless you want a big bump, then you leave it there. Okay, so I'm going to set this down, and now I'm going to get right down at eye level and look at it. Make sure that it looks good, and it does. Now what I'm going to do, this one needs to move just a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to go to the next side. And the next side, and the next side, and the next side. Okay, when you have them right, all four sides will sit nicely. So if you go to flip it to the next side and it's not quite right, then that means you don't quite have it, so just adjust it a little bit. Now that we've got this like this, we are going to let this dry. And while it is drying, we are going to cut some papers to put in it. Now, this is 6 inches, I believe. Yes, it's 6 inches from end to end. So you don't want your paper to be 6 inches because it will rub and it will catch. And if you're not exactly straight, you'll never get it rolled up. So we're going to do 5.5 inches. And so what I did was I just took my paint and marker pad, which is 12 by 9. Now I could have cut it this way and done 5. Yes, I could have cut it this way where it's 12 inches long. So I could have done 5.5 and 5.5 and just had a little bit left over. But I chose to do it this way because we're going to attach them together. So I wanted 12 inches long and 12 inches long instead of just 9 inches long and 9 inches long as I was taping them together. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take some masking tape, which I forgot to grab. I will be right back. It's not very far away. And I lied. It's not where I thought it was. So I will be right back. Hold on. Okay, now we are just going to take these. Were cut 5.5 inches. So these are going to fit into our scroll with 1/4 of an inch on each end. Now the thing you're going to want to do is really try and make sure that you get these nice and straight and aligned with each other so that when they roll up very straight. So put the ends of your paper together. You don't need to overlap them, just butt them to each other. To me, that seems to make them be a little bit straighter if you butt them up to each other, because those ends should be straight. And I'm going to do that side and then come over here and do the other side. The reason that I use masking tape is because masking tape is very paintable. And I'm going to paint on these, and this might be right in the middle of one of my paintings. So I'm going to use the masking tape versus Scotch tape because Scotch tape is not real paintable. And I'll just trim that off. And so that's why I use the masking tape. Now, if you have, like I had when I made my original, if you have this is a wallpaper border. If you have the wallpaper border, you can use this instead of making your own long piece of paper. And these tubes here were off of our vacuum packer. And so I had got 2 of those. And those are what I used because they were nice and heavy like this. Now, if you don't have anything that's real heavy like that, you can use paper towel rolls. You could use the toilet paper rolls, but the toilet paper rolls are so short. They're like 4 inches, and then by the time you go down another ½ an inch, then your paper's only 3½ inches wide. That's totally up to you if you want to try that. But just to make your paper towel roll sturdier, cut one of them all the way down, and then stuff it inside the other one. Now you've got the double thickness, and the one on the outside is still smooth. Now this is going to be bigger around, but so you're not going to really want to do a 2x2 square for the end. You're going to want to do about a 2.5 by 2.5 or 3 by 3, so that it sticks out a ways like this. You know, you don't want that 2x2 square to come right to the edge of your roll. And you're going to do it the same way. You're just going to draw a circle in the very center of it, cut it like a pie, push it down into there, and attach it. And you're going to want to have, you know, a nice thickness of them. So that's how you can make larger ones. And then if you did that, you could actually, let's see if this is big enough to do the whole. Yeah, if you did it with this, you could actually do the whole width of this paper. So you could just attach a bunch of these together. Or if you had Christmas rolls and you had a roll of wallpaper, you could make a very large one. So there's all sorts of ways that you can make them. What I'm going to do is, while everything is drying, I'm going to go through and I'm going to tape. I think I did 6 pieces of paper. And the thing is, when you get all the way to the end, you flip it over, you do the other side. If you're using your own plain paper. You can also do this with painty paper so that you're not staring at a blank canvas when you unroll it to use it. If you did it with painty paper, you'd unroll it, you'd have a background already, and then you'd just go from there with collage bits or with painty bits or whatever it is that you want to do. And so if you have the wallpaper border, obviously one side is paintable and the other side is not. But it's all what you use to do it. But you can do it any way that you want to, and mostly you should have like some of the things. So I will be back after I get all the paper put together and after everything is really dry, and we'll go on from there. Okay, I'm back and we're ready to put it together. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your 4 sets of 4, there's 4 glued here, and you are just going to sand the edges. Now when you sand the edges, always sand with the length of your whatever you call it, cardboard. You don't want to go this way because you've glued those together, and if you sand this way, then you could separate those apart. So you only want to go with the length, not against the way that they were glued. And I'm sure this is shaking the whole table. I do apologize for that. And we'll just call that good enough. Okay, so now we've got those sanded, and then the side that's going to be your outside, just kind of round off those edges. You can do it on both sides if you want to. I do it on what's going to be the outside. And then that makes it just nice and smooth. On the other side, you've still got little spots where it's not necessarily smooth, but I kind of like to leave that because to me it seems like that glues better to what you're gluing to versus a rounded edge. So that side that I'm going to glue down, I don't round those edges off, but here I do just a little bit. So, and then we're just going to take our supports. Now these have not, I'll pull that out first and then pull this out. They haven't dried a super long time. They really should have dried like overnight. But for purposes of the video, we're going to call it good. So we're going to take all of this out. I got to thinking too, it might be kind of cool like to put some beans or some rocks or something like that inside here before you seal this up. And then when you move them, they'll make noise. That just depends on if you like noise or not. So I'm going to look at the side that, this is the side I did not sand, and I'm going to glue this to my scrolls. Now I finished gluing all of my pages of paper together. I did 6 pieces of paper, so that is, they were 12 inches long, so that gives me 6 feet. And then you flip it over and have the other side, so I have 12 feet to go ahead and to draw on. I'm going to look, and this is the side that I didn't sand. Make sure you get your edges really well. I'm going to squish those together really good. Wipe the glue off, and I just kind of smooth it across. It just kind of, to me, helps glue it together better. Make sure it's all nice and straight. And this one I didn't really squish it, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to squish it. Now these 5 thicknesses together, the 4 that we did plus the one that we put on our tube, that gives us a really nice solid base for this to sit on. And you can make them, even though I did them 2 by 2, you can make them any size that you would like to. This is the side I didn't round off, so this is the side I'm going to glue. And I'm just going to do this one too. I have the glue in my hand. There we go, just like that. And then just squish them together. So now we have our whole base made. And then we're ready to decorate this. Now, what we're going to do again is we are going to let this dry. And what I will do with this is I'm going to go set this on my counter. And I'm going to put a heavy book right across the top, just like this, because they're the same height. You know, they're the same. And that is going to really make this nice and solid. And then once it is really dry, I will go in and give it one more sand all the way around. That will sand off the part that was already there, the one that we put into our tube that we have not sanded yet. Okay, and there we go. There are the 2 tubes for our scroll. And I went ahead and I taped all of my papers together. And then I just rolled them up on the paper towel holder I was showing you, because that will kind of get it in the, it'll get it used to being rounded a little bit when we go to put it on here. And the reason I did this was it was 6 feet long. I needed to do something with it. And these have to be decorated before we put the paper on. So I thought I'll just roll it up on here. I put a rubber binder around it to hold it so that it you know, can go ahead and relax into this form now. And while it's doing that, we're going to let these dry, and then I will come back and we will decorate them, and then we'll put the paper on them. So see you in a bit. Okay, I'm back, and we're all ready to put our paint on. They have been sanded and painted, and then a little bit of our color wax glaze has been put on top, the one with the a little bit of the mica powders in it. And so now all we need to do is add our papers, and we'll be ready to play with them. So you can roll them either way, it doesn't matter. You know, maybe if you're right-handed or left-handed, it may feel better to you one way or another. So you can just kind of decide that as you get ready to put your paper on. But I am going to roll it from the left-hand side. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and make sure that I've got it nice and straight so that it rolls nice and straight. And I want to make sure that I have it centered. Okay. And I'm actually looking at my paper underneath here and seeing if it looks like it's the same distance and if it looks like it's straight. And I think I can't really, this is the hardest part. And if you get it and it's just so far off that when you go to wrap it, you're having problems, just go ahead and undo it and wrap it again. So I am just going to tape this on here with the length of masking tape. And once you use this whole thing up, you can just go ahead and take this off, roll it up, put a rubber band around it, or tie it with a pretty ribbon, and just make another one. Just, put more paper on this same one. So, and then all I'm going to do is I am just going to wrap it and just try and keep it pretty straight when you're wrapping it. Once you get it wrapped around here and it sits for a little while, it will mold to this smaller circle, but putting it on the larger paper towel roll to hold it while we're waiting, that really did help kind of get it into the rounded shape a little bit. So, and it's kind of like rolling a paper bead. You just want to kind of make sure that as you're going, that you've got it lined up. Depending on how long you made it, that will be more and more important, because if it's really, really long, like if you have a wallpaper border or something, if you let it get off and just let it continue to stay off, it really gets out of whack, and then you have a hard time straightening it up. But we don't have that much paper here, so we can keep adjusting it as we go, and it's not too bad. Of course, right here at the end, I'm just really getting off. There we go. Okay, so we've got it on there, and that is lined up pretty good, because that means we got it pretty straight, because otherwise, if we got it crooked on there, you would not be able to get it wound up nicely. I'm going to go maybe one more wrap, maybe even one more wrap, and then make sure that this is the top. Make sure this is the top. Yep, because I only put paint on the bottom, but I didn't put my mica wax on the bottom. So there we go. Now, what you can do, the easiest, best way to do it, I guess, is to roll it up until, just a second, let me tighten that up a little bit. Okay, roll it up until you can set your pieces right next to each other, and I actually want them to line up this way so that I have all four colors on there, and then bring this around and tape it down. That way when you unroll it and you roll it back up, this is how they'll sit when you're done. So because if you were to make your paper, let's say you glued it out here, then when you went to roll it up together, it would be like that. So that's why go ahead and put them right next to each other, and then tape your paper on, and then that's where it should be. And when you roll them up, they'll roll up like this. Now if your paper gets, oh, now that's fun, because now I have to re-roll it. Like I said, it won't do that once it's really been kind of stuck in that position for a while. It will stay smaller, rolled smaller, but I should not have let it go. But I didn't have my tape ready. So now I've got my tape ready. I'm going to hang it up here. I don't want it hanging in the thing. And we'll just give this a pull to tighten it. We have to pull out quite a bit till we get there. Adjust it to where it needs to be. There we go. That is the other good thing about having the square top and bottom. When you lay them down, they won't unroll like that once they're hooked to both sides, because the weight of your ends will hold it. if you had a round top and bottom, when you laid it down, it actually could spin like that. Because there was nothing to hold it in place. Okay, now I do kind of want to get my paper adjusted a little bit before I actually put them together. There we go, make it tight. And try this again. Okay, I'm going to put them right next to each other. And then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it on here. Now you may find when you're rolling it up, you know, if you let your paper be really loose or something, that it's not going to want to come together nice and square like this. Then just tighten your paper up a little bit so that it does that. And there we go. Now you have your scroll. And then when you're all done, see, now you can lay that down and you can just go ahead and color on that. And like I said, we do need to give it a little bit of time to rest in this position. When you are all done, let's say we were coming from this end and we have colored all the way up to here and we've gotten this far. And now we finished it. We just finished our last bit of artwork on here. Okay, now, you don't really want to flip it over like this and be trying to art on it because it's not really sitting on the table. It's, you know, coming up on both sides. So what you do when you're all done and you've done your last piece of artwork is you just take it and start rolling it the other way. So remember, this has all got color on it. This side has no color. So now, when you roll it the opposite way, now the part with the color will be on the outside and the part with no color is going to be wound to the inside. And that's how you get to use both sides if you have paper that can be done on both sides. So just wrap this up. And you can do it however you would like to do it. If you want to start in the middle, if you want to start on one end, you can do it however you would like to, but this is what it looks like. And I just think that they're really great fun. Now, the one thing that you may think is, well, you know, like I'll put something on here so that it looks pretty on the outside. This is going to move every time that you roll it. So that's why it does look pretty with the wallpaper border, because that is always on the outside no matter as you roll it. It just changes a little bit. Once you get one side done, once you get the all of your artwork in here, and then you roll it the other way, then your outside will have color on it. But if you put color just on the outside, you know, like when you get it all done up and you think, oh, I'm going to, you know, decorate this, you can, but the second that you move that, it is going to go away. So you can do it any way that you would like to. But this, I just think that these are really fun. And I really do enjoy playing with these. And they're just, you know, I do have a lot of people come over and they want to look at it. They want to look inside and, you know, see what's in there, that type of thing. They're just fun. So, and don't forget, the other thing that you can do is put something on the top like this, just to give it a little bit more interest. So, and for next week, what we're going to need is a roll of wrapping paper. Now, not necessarily Christmas, because it's something you're going to want to be able to use all year long. So, now this one does kind of have snowflakes on it, but it doesn't really necessarily just look like it's got black. It's got dark brown designs and everything. So, get one roll of wrapping paper, and you want it to be kind of a thicker wrapping paper. So you can get these at the dollar store, and usually the ones that have the lesser amount of feet on them are usually the heavier ones. You know, if you've got 40 feet on there and then you've got one with 20 feet, the one that only has 20 feet is probably going to be a heavier paper. So, and it's hard to tell because they have the plastic wrap, but you're just going to have to kind of guess at it. And just try and get a nice roll of wrapping paper in some type of a design that you really enjoy the looks of. So that's what we'll need for next week. So we will spend $1 for next week, which is our first week of our third year. And then we will put $4 in our bank. And I'll have to tell you next time exactly what we have in our bank, because I don't have that right here in front of me. I didn't look at it. So this is our scroll that we made today, and you can make them small, you can make them larger, you can do them however you wish, but they are really fun to make. I do hope that if you try it that you enjoy it. Thank you very much for watching. I do really appreciate you stopping by, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.